Welcome to my recording studio, otherwise known as Good Vibes Sound. And this is a very comfortable place. Spent a lot of time here. I've done projects from my group projects to obviously solo projects and other friends' projects. We've even done a film score here. So it's a pretty busy place and a place that I really like to work out of. So we're in the control room of Good Vibes Sound, and this back here is where all the, I guess, electronic magic takes place, all the mixing of the sounds, and when you're actually doing the recording, getting the levels. And outside there, in the other part of the room, is where the musical creativity happens, where us instrumentalists will go and respond to each other musically, and then it comes back into here to do the final mix, and that's what happens in a recording studio. So I actually got started as a drummer. My parents were very supportive, and they sought out the best teacher in the area, who was named Eugene Babe Fabrizi. He was in Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. And every Saturday my mother would come home from work around noon, would hop in the car, and we would drive the 1-hour trip to Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania, and I would take my lesson with Babe, as we called him. And come home, and I did that every week for quite a long time. Now, Babe was the kind of teacher that you weren't just going to be a drummer. He wanted his better students to become percussionists. You had to learn timpani, you had to learn mallet instruments, drum set, all the hand percussion. He really wanted you to be a well-rounded guy that could do a lot of the shows and things like that came in. And that was going to be my life. I was pretty much a classically trained percussionist, and something that I aspired to and liked and really wanted to do forever and ever. I was very fortunate at an early age. Well, first of all, once I discovered the mallet side of percussion, I was sold. The fact that I could take my drumming techniques and my rhythmical independence and apply it to an instrument that I could play melodies on and harmonies, I was sold. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a mallet player. So I really concentrated on that aspect of percussion. Reading seemed to come easy to me. I enjoyed reading. I mean, you could give me a piece of music and for some reason, it was just never hard for me to take that piece of music and apply it to my instrument and play it. And that's probably the strongest thing that got me started in my career. At a very early age, I got involved with all of the orchestras in the Western Pennsylvania area. I was doing things with the Pittsburgh Youth Symphony, the Pittsburgh Symphony, the Wilkinsburg Symphony, Monroeville Symphony. I was involved with the International Symphony in Switzerland, only because at that time there weren't many mallet players. I was sort of a little niche by myself, and anything that required reading a tuned instrument, I seemed to get the call. So if I had to read chime parts, xylophone parts, marimba, vibes, bells, glockenspiel, whatever, that was kind of my forte when I did. And I mean, I had the other stuff somewhat together, but I wouldn't say that was my main emphasis, but mallets were. One day, after a rehearsal, or actually it was after a concert because I had my tuxedo on with the symphony, my ride home, I was too young to drive, so my ride home said, "Hey, Jerry, I got these tickets to go to the Pittsburgh Three Rivers Jazz Festival. Want to go?" No, I didn't want to go to that. I had to go home. I had to go work on my classical. I had to practice. I didn't have time to support that kind of music, not anything I really wanted to get involved with. And it was about, I guess, 12 miles to my home, and I really didn't want to walk that far. So I said, "Look, let's go to this jazz concert, but let's leave. Let's leave fairly early. I didn't want to spend too much time there because I've got things to do." And I remember going, and it was the Herbie Hancock Band, and I was fascinated. I mean, I was watching them, and the audience, 30,000 people there. And you'd see Herbie up there playing piano, and Ron Carter was playing, and the communication they had back and forth, and the drummer, and everything was just fun and tight, and they were having a great time. There was no music on the stage, and I remember the hair on the back of my neck stood up. It was like, wow, this is something special, and I had to figure this out. Now, fortunately, because of my association with all the classical music and the orchestras, the Ludwig Musser Company, this was 1972, came out with a development instrument that they were working on with synthetic bars. It was a marimba, but it had this thing called Keelon bars, which were a replacement for Honduras rosewood. So they brought it to Pittsburgh at the Mideast Music Conference, and they needed somebody to play it. Of course, I was the mallet player, so I got the call to do this. And I met Mr. Ludwig and a guy by the name of Dick Richardson, and at that time, I was a junior in high school. I got my first signed endorsement with the Ludwig Musser Company, which I was very excited about. And so because of my association with this company, I got to do a lot of percussion events throughout the United States where I would show up and I would do a clinic or a performance, or either with a classical ensemble or orchestra or something, or just by myself. So it was kind of a really nice thing to have very early on in my career. Now, when I found out that I really started to dig jazz and I wanted to know more about it, I was at an event with Ludwig Musser, and I don't remember where it was, but I ran into another Musser artist. His name was Gary Burton, And he's a jazz vibraphone player. And I said, hey, once we met, we were sitting down at dinner together or something. I said, I'm fascinated with jazz. I need to learn a little bit more about it and how to develop, the whole concept of what's going on with improvisation. And at that time, Gary says, well, hey, I teach at Berklee College of Music. Why don't you come? You can be my student. And I did. I went to Berklee, and Berklee was the best thing I could have ever done in my life. I had scholarships to go to all the major music schools throughout the United States on a classical scholarship, and I chose to go to Berklee. And to be honest with you, I met and played with the most fantastic players, the most contemporary players. I learned stuff that other schools just don't seem to offer. And now as an artist, having obviously graduated quite a long time ago, as I travel around doing clinics at various universities throughout the United States, Canada, and Europe, I realized that the education that I got at Berklee just supersedes anything else schools seem to offer. These kids are not getting the information that I got and a chance to play and meet with such fantastic instrumentalists and educators. It was a phenomenal thing for me. So anyway, that's pretty much how I got into jazz and how I developed into a clinician with the Ludwig Musser Company. Now, Ludwig has been a very supportive company of me since the beginning. And to be honest with you, the Musser instruments have always set the standard of quality and perfection in sound that other companies try to emulate. And when I first got into the mallet aspect, there were really only maybe 2, maybe 3 mallet companies. There was Musser, there was Deegan, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure of any others. But anyway, so the Musser instruments were always the one that set the standard of tone and quality and excellence in sound and build. And so I was very glad that this was the endorsement that I got, because this was the company that I wanted to play their instruments, only because I believe in the instruments. I'm not the kind of guy that runs from company to company because of a good deal, or they're offering more money, or this or that. I have to play an instrument that I trust, that I know the sound that I'm going to get out of. And Musser is a standard right now of the world. Now, regarding that, I've been after the Musser Company probably 30 years to finish the vibraphone. I'm stuck in the world of 3-octave aluminum bars from F to F. The world of F really makes no sense. There's not a lot of literature that fits into. You have to always be moving around and reharmonizing and things like that to fit it on your instrument. At least the bottom note, if it was an E, that would kind of put us into like guitar world of being able to do it that way. But my ideal instrument would go down to C. So I just want 3 more notes, E, D, C, and I'd be the happiest guy in the world, because I played other instruments that do have the extended range. Yes, they don't sound great. Yes, you don't hear the fundamental the way you would expect on an instrument. But just by having those 3 notes seems to open up the world. That's what I do. That's how I got into it, and I love what I do. I really like being a musician and being a mallet player, so to speak. Again, I expressed I guess the negative side of the instrument, but at the same time, by it being a novelty instrument, it kind of makes it a little cooler. In other words, when you show up, people look at it and they're kind of like fascinated with your instrument. And then when you pull out your mallets, and I'm a 4-mallet player, and I'm holding 4 mallets right away, they're like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this. This guy's got 2 of these sticks, they call them, in either hand, and he's going to play this thing. And then all you got to do is play well, and you won him over. So it's got that plus going for it. I love what I do, and I hope to continue doing this for the rest of my life. And again, I need to thank the Ludwig Musser company, or the Conselmer company, the parent company now. And they have been, again, very supportive, and I just have a great relationship with them, and I look forward to that continuing for forever. So thank you so much.